what's going on in Palpatine's America.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, speaking of things that might be going away soon, science. Kyle, let's talk about
it. Jeez. I prefer Lando Calrissian, by the way.
Ooh.
Oh, come on, nerds.
You guys might know Kyle from his amazing show on Nerdist Because Science. You might have seen him on Mythbusters, The Search, the show he hosted for Science Channel. Kyle.
Yeah.
How you doing, bud?
Yeah, you know, never that good.
Nice.
Sounds about right.
Well, that's all I got. Let's move. Anyway, so Kyle, Because Science, it's been so awesome to see, like, looking back, just in that sizzle reel we saw some of, like, the earlier episodes.
Yeah, that was the end of the first episode. If you watch from the first to the most current episode, you just see my hair just all the way.
It's an amazing time lapse.
It's an amazing time lapse.
So what's been one of the biggest things that has changed since you started Because Science?
I think it's critical to speak your language, right? We make videos for you, our nerd audience, and if we're not communicating in a way that fits the way that you talk with each other, that you talk to friends, like it's not going to connect with you. So for me, with science and science communication, it really is about finding that way to make it a little bit more accessible. The kinds of things that I talk about on my show are covered in Physics 101 or mathematics or geometry or something like that, but it doesn't, I try really hard to not make it feel like that because I'm talking about these nerd properties. So going forward, I've tried to be more silly. I've kept in, when I mess up a line, I keep it in because I want it to seem like I'm not any smarter than any of you. I just have a job that pays me to be curious, and we're learning this stuff together, and I think we do it best through the things that we already love, which is pop culture.
Awesome. What's been like the hard, yes, clap for this man. What has been the hardest concept or question you've been asked to do in an episode that you've like then turned into one? What's been like the hardest sort of like nut to crack for you?
The hardest one I may have ever done, I did yesterday, which was a lightsaber versus adamantium. Because for some reason it went viral on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it was, and so many of you people sent that to me directly that I had to do it, and it's so much more complicated than you think because when you mash up universes, each universe, because they have their own super things, they have their own bits about it. You know, adamantium is indestructible. Lightsabers can cut through basically anything. So you have to get to a point where the assumptions you make sense. You're like, okay, I know both these universes, but I can see, you know, adamantium probably has a melting point because we saw William Stryker use it as liquid at some point.
As we all know.
Yeah, that's how I ended it.
One of my favorite things you calculated recently was, anyone here has seen anime knows a popular trope is that when someone sees someone beautiful, blood shoots out their nose at a torrential rate. Yeah. And Kyle calculated the horrifying physics of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I calculate in the office that I can't make into an episode, like how much all of the spiders weigh, or how much, what would the size of a milkshake be if it really, what is the biggest milkshake that would bring all the boys to the yard? Or, does more money really equal more socioeconomic problems? Really? You're rich. Little things like that. Yeah, I mean, and there's fun outcroppings to that too. Like if you let loose a nosebleed rocket fast enough to propel you just with the thrust, just the mass transfer there, the momentum transfer, and if you're looking at the object of your affection, it's enough pressure that it would probably cut them in half. You're welcome.
So never look at your crush is the moral of the story here.
Oh, you're just so I
have two crushes. No! And because science isn't the only thing that you have coming down the pipeline, because one Kyle show is not enough for all the teens out there.
Never enough.
We need more Kyle. And you're working on something right now that I'm very excited about. Tell us a little bit about it.
So with all the stuff that we're doing on Project Alpha, we want to make sure that we're still, I mean, I'm always going to do Because Science for you every week, as long as I can, until I die. But for you that want a little bit more of that nerdy stuff, we want to make sure that we're doing some extra things. So coming down the pipeline in the next few months or so, we're doing a show called The Space Program with me. And I don't want to give too much. I won't give too much about it away. But the premise is that I'm a Carl Sagan-like figure going through the fictional cosmos. Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. And here we have the Daleks, I think. They don't look that imposing, but let's go check it out. It's not like that, but you get the idea.
Yeah, he's workshopping the impression.
Yeah, and the neck on my shirt's gonna come way up to that. Not so deep.
And we are going to be exploring another fictional world with you here at WonderCon in just a little bit. You're doing Mass Effect panels.
Not to get stuff too off track, but if you want to stick around right after this panel, we're doing the science of Mass Effect, because I'm 50 hours into Andromeda and I still love it, so you can stick around for that. Yeah.
Can the human body really animate like that?
Why are all the aliens hot?
Because evolution is good.
There'd be some gelatinous dudes like the Hanar or something, and they'd look different, and you definitely wouldn't be able to copulate with. You know what? We can get to this.
Look, I'm just saying the game is broken because you can't make out with an L cord.
Well, I mean, yeah. Excitedly, let's make out.
Well, on that note, let's move along to the editor-in-chief of Nerdist.com, the queen of Ween herself, Rachel Heine.
Yeah.
Rachel, how's that chill-ass website doing?
Oh, it's pretty cool.
No, but you've been since you took the reins, you've done some really incredible things there, bringing fresh new voices to the side of diversity of perspectives. What's it been like for you since you first took over to where we are now? Like, what's coming down the pipeline that you're excited about?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy to look at not only how Kyle's hair has evolved over the years, but just how the team has grown and how much we're able to do now and really kind of shed light. I love reading a lot, and that's why being an editor is so fun, because I get to read all these incredible voices of our writers and our editors, some of them are here right now, so round of applause for everyone who works on the site. So many people, so many writers, and so it's really great to just be able to read these pieces that our writers and our editors are working on and watch these videos that, like Kyle said, this is taking pop culture and art to be able to learn something else, to be curious, to think about the world that we live in, which feels very important right now. So looking at representation in pop culture, looking at having a diverse group of voices so that we hear everyone's perspective on these types of shows. You're learning something through science. You're analyzing, we had a really great piece by Alicia Lutz up about belief and religion in TV on shows like American Gods, which is coming up, and The Handmaid's Tale. Looking into film and not only loving, this pop culture, but challenging it because it is so important to us and because it's changed my life. Certain books and things that I've read in my life really meant something to me. So it's just awesome to see not just Kyle getting it, like all of you guys, everyone here and everyone behind the scenes just kind of getting to grow, and I think we're all, we're like a family, so it's awesome. It's the best job in the whole world.
And I'm glad you brought up books, because you've been able to turn that passion into one of my favorite shows that we do now, Alpha Book Club. What is Alpha Book Club? What kind of wine are you drinking, and how can we get involved?
Oh my gosh, so this is something that I would just do alone in my apartment if they didn't let me do it here. So Alpha Book Club is on Alpha, and that's every Wednesday at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, and it's me, Maud Garrett, and Hector Navarro, if you guys know them. They're pretty awesome. And each month we read a different book, and we kind of go into the themes, the characters, the adaptations that there might be in other forms of pop culture. We've had guests on. We have the audience choose the books that we read each month. So there's a poll each month, and you get to vote which one we're going to read next. We're doing American Gods next month, which is really exciting. And we do have wine. Halfway through the show, we're like, what would improve this show? Wine. We will probably bring cheese on next.
All our shows.
I know, oh my god, we'd all be by the end of the day.
Why is the charcuterie budget $3 million for this year?
Yeah, but it's really fun, and I was a really, really shy kid, and I would read a lot in a corner by myself, and want other people to talk about books with. And so it's been really exciting to see that people are still passionate about reading. It's not something that you see as much in sort of internet shows and things like that. There's a lot of comic books and film and TV, but getting back into some of the source material for some of these things is really exciting, so it's super fun.
Look, all I'm saying is there's an Anne of Green Gables series coming to Netflix. That would be an amazing tie-in.
There's also one, there's two. There's a Netflix one and there's a Canadian one, but I can't remember. What's
That is the Canadian one is the one that's going to Netflix, I'm pretty sure. Am I wrong?
There's two.
There's two?
There's different
What
ones.
a time to be a fan of Green Gables!
I am so stoked. I waited so long for this.
I know, we're gonna have Jess on every time when we
Oh,
finally do it in the Green Gables. Yeah, it's super fun. We had Mark Millar come in. We did a special comic book episode last week, and Mark Millar came on to talk about Old Man Logan, which was really cool.
What
I'm gonna
book?
try to get, yeah, it was a rough episode. But before that, we did 1984, which
Lighthearted romp.
was where we put a kibosh on it. We're like, only fantasy and sci-fi movie forward.
It's too double plus real.
It's too real right now to read 1984, but
My rights.
Well, on that note, let's proceed to the left. Joan Ford, she is the head writer for Nerdist News. Writes a lot of the amazing comedy stuff that you see coming down the pipeline, working with the team to make sure that we sound awesome on camera. Joan, what's been your favorite thing that you've worked on at Nerdist so far?
Oh man, there's a lot of awesome stuff. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm really in love with, Bowser already talked about. He stole my thunder a little bit. But I wrote all of Millennial Falcon.
Yeah.
But on a day-to-day basis, writing Nerdist News is really a blast. It's like you come in every morning and you just kind of have the conversations you'd be having anyways with your friends about what does this Spider-Man trailer mean for Spider-Man? And then you get to write it and put it in the mouths of like amazing hosts like Jessica Chobot or you, Dan. And yeah, it's just, yeah, like on a day-to-day basis, just writing Nerdist News is always a blast.
Is there any Easter eggs that you've hidden in the script that we haven't found yet?
Oh man, I'm usually working like a lyric from Frozen into every script. I'm a big fan of Frozen. Yeah, so look out for that. And Nerdist News heads. But yeah, oh yeah, that's the big one.
Just picturing Jess reading the entire lyrics of Let It Go. It's discuss.
I do it. You put it on that prompter, I'll read it.
She is the Ron Burgundy of Nerdist News.
I'm Jessica Chobot.
Now, Joan, while you give us a lot of like amazingly funny things to say, when it comes down to it, we are wild horses that cannot be tamed, and a lot of times stuff just comes out of our mouths that we don't expect, and unfortunately, they are rolling the entire time. They are capturing all of it for posterity. Future generations will look on this and weep. So, Mike, I believe you have a blooper reel?
I do, Dan.
We haven't seen any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm a little nervous.
I'm afraid because I know what I say off camera.
We got no
I'm afraid it
approvals
would
from
ruin
anyone
a lot
on
of
this, so
mistakes.
I don't remember.
please enjoy.
Yeah.